There is no window, no personal touches, just a TV and a boombox, and barely room to move in cell 121A, where the convicted killer contemplates his life sentence behind bars. This is a rare glimpse into how a protective custody prisoner serves his time. The monotonous routine includes meals delivered to his cell, and ever fastidious, Bernardo washes his cutlery, even the gravy off his meat. Completely isolated, Bernardo is locked behind iron bars, covered in plexiglass for his own protection from the 18 other inmates in the unit. One can't escape the irony of the killer who used video so cruelly to document the suffering of his victims, himself now a prisoner captured on camera 24 hours a day. Bernardo's lawyer has not seen the video of his client, but in an earlier interview he commented on life in prison for Bernardo.
I think he's content or at least has settled in his own mind that this is the best way for the moment. He's spending an awful lot of time watching TV, and I am sure he is covering the whole gamut of shows, everything from 90210 to whatever else might intrigue him.
The gates of Kingston Penitentiary shut on Bernardo some 2 months ago. Earlier this week, a spokesman for Corrections Canada confirmed that except for showers, Bernardo stays in his cell, declining even his exercise privileges.
He's permitted 1 hour of exercise, which I'm told by the institutional people he has not chosen to come out for. And so in effect, he's doing right now 24 hours a day in his cell.
The 5 by 8 foot cell is a world away from the days of champagne and fun in the sun so carefully documented by the sexual psychopath while he was free. The serial killer who once called himself the King is now master of nothing but his channel changer. Under Canadian law, this solitary confinement is the worst punishment an inmate can receive, and it's almost certain that Canada's most notorious killer will spend the rest of his life in such a protective custody cell. Marlene Trotter, Global News, Toronto.
Security was breached at the Kingston Penitentiary, and the Privacy Commissioner is said to be concerned that video of the sex murderer appeared in print and on Global TV News. Marlene Trotter reports.
The high gray cement walls of maximum security Kingston Penitentiary. These gates have closed on some of the worst offenders in Canada, including the country's most reviled serial killer, Paul Bernardo. Under 24-hour-a-day video surveillance, Bernardo is serving his life sentence in solitary confinement for his own protection. Allowed a TV and a boombox, Bernardo is virtually cut off from any human contact with the outside world. And for at least one of the jurors who convicted him of the horrific murders of 2 schoolgirls, that is the least price he must pay for the pain and suffering he caused.
But in his case, there's no forgiveness in my heart at all, ever. If he's captive now, good. And just being such a cavalier in life, and to have all of this stripped away from him now must be, in his mind, if he's got any sort of feelings of redemption, it's got to be a tremendous punishment for him.
The open justice system closes once a lifer enters prison. This video gives the public a rare insight into the isolated, Spartan world of a protective custody prisoner. Meanwhile, Corrections Canada has launched an investigation into how the surveillance video of Bernardo got out of a maximum security prison.
If it is indeed a staff member, and it may be too early to speculate that in fact it is, it constitutes a breach of the code of conduct of the correctional service. Secondly, it constitutes a breach of the security of the institution and properties of the correctional service. And thirdly, we're looking at it from the point of view of potentially criminal charges being laid against an individual.
Like a caged animal, Bernardo appears both lethargic and restless. This cell is what he has to look forward to the rest of his life. And this psychiatrist believes that eventually such a life will not be worth living.
The problem is, what do you do over the years and years when you can't get out to do just what you want? And I think that's the hardest part for a long-term prisoner. And I think one would expect him to make some kind of suicidal bid at some point.
Whatever the final chapter, for now, this man who helped put Bernardo away believes that the sexual sadist who used to boast about fooling everyone has finally got his comeuppance.
It's retribution, but I'm not looking for anything. I'm not looking for pain and suffering in its truest form. Just kept away from society, and if it plays on his mind and it troubles him, good.
Marlene Trotter, Global News, Toronto.
One of the worst blizzards.
Attention has drifted away, but Leslie's friends still remember.
You know, you miss her and you wish that it hadn't happened. And there's always the why her question, you know, why did it have to be Leslie? You know, Leslie never ever did anything wrong. You know, why should she have to have gone through what she did? There's no reason for it. And that's something you'll just never get over, you know. There is no answer.
I don't know. I remember running around, like, in her backyard, like, playing the sprinkler, playing in her little turtle pool. And my main picture is she's always in a bathing suit, running, like, in the summer, running around and eating strawberries and Jell-O and laughing.
And she loved the ocean. She said that she wanted to become a marine biologist because she loved dolphins and whales and things like that. And she just loved to hang out with her friends and have fun.
Some days, I could talk about how good things were, and then other days, I could just sit here and cry.
To be honest, I don't remember that summer. After they found her, I don't remember it. My mom tells me about it. I'd freaked out, basically.
It was just devastating. You know, you can't begin to describe how kids in grade 9 feel when, you know, one of your closest friends has had this happen to her. Someone that you've grown up with all your life has been murdered in this sort of a brutal way. And I don't think that effect will ever go away.
I just shut it out, that it wasn't real. And I just couldn't believe it. I just sort of said to myself, oh, she's gone away on vacation or something, you know, it's not really happening. Because you never think something like this could ever happen. And now I know it's real, and I just try to deal with it the best way I can.
I had really bad nightmares when I was 14 and 15, and they're gone now. But they're very vivid nightmares that kind of scarred me more than anything. But it doesn't go away. It's still as painful as it was.
I think she would have ended up in a career where she was working with people as opposed to behind a desk, because she was really, you know, people motivated and orientated, and she could talk to them really well.
I honestly don't know. I don't know if she'd be still in high school, like doing grade 14, some people do, if she would be at university, or if she would be having a job, quit school, have 2 kids. I don't know. And I think, you know what? It doesn't matter, because whatever she'd be doing now, it would be at life. Lost a great spirit. A dreamer. She didn't have the chance to do what we've all got to do. She got her life taken away too early. And I know life's not fair, and I know I say it's not fair, but it just isn't fair. And there's nothing we can do now to turn back, to get her back, but she'll always be with us, and her memories always be with me.
Paul Bernardo was convicted of first-degree murder in the deaths of Leslie Mahaffy and 15-year-old Kristen French of St. Catharines, Ontario. His former wife, Carla Homolka, pled guilty to manslaughter as part of a plea bargain. Last November, Bernardo was declared a dangerous offender, ineligible for parole for 25 years. Debbie Mahaffy, Leslie's mom, is here. Hi. Hi, Debbie. He's locked away. He's been declared a dangerous offender. He's sitting in Kingston Pen. He can't get out. Isn't it over now? Isn't that it?
No, I don't want to hear about him anymore. And unfortunately, there are still those who feel that we need to hear every move that he's making. But most important, he can apply for 745, which is less than 15 years from now. And he could put in a hearing for that. And I don't have much faith or confidence in this, oh, don't worry, he'll never get out. That kind of rings kind of hollow when you think of people like Fredericks or Melvin Stanton or the rest of them. There are ways that they get out.
Okay, Debbie, if you could be the judge in this case, and we didn't have the laws as we have them now, and you were adjudicating Bernardo, what would you want him to get? We know you don't believe in capital punishment.
No, but I think to be fair to each of the victims that we should add up each of his charges and each one of his charges and give the sum total. And in my estimation, for each rape that was committed and the confinement, each murder, each manslaughter, indignity to a human body, add them up, I think it's around 349 some years. And in that way, he's not eligible for parole. Life is life. And consecutive sentencing would give you life imprisonment for life. No parole for first or second degree murderers, period.
What will it mean for you? Will you have to go to these parole hearings should he ever become eligible for parole? Or what happens when he's a dangerous offender? Does he have a chance to have a hearing to have that reversed?
Yes, every 3 years, or rather the first 3 years, which would have been last year, we would have, before he was even convicted. Technically, then every 2 years after, there is a dangerous offender hearing. We aren't directly involved, but you are, because you're here, you know that they are considering him again every 2 years.
Would you be allowed to be there when
no.
that consideration is happening?
No.
And there's no need for you to be there?
No. But you're still there. In mind and spirit, you're still there, wondering, has he now jumped through the magic number of hoops? Has he taken the right amount of medication or done all the correct things? That psychiatry is not a very exact science, and 10 years from now, maybe they'll figure that it is, and figure that this man is fine. He's no longer a threat, and maybe we should let him out less than 25.
But how do you feel about the fact that, from the sounds of things, if you're going to stay this involved, that he's going to be part of your life for the rest of your life?
That is not a very comforting thought at all. I prefer to think that he's gone, he's gone. And I don't appreciate hearing whether he shaves or whether he doesn't, or whether he has a shower or whether he doesn't. I don't want to hear about him again. I think that, and I, on a good day, believe that he thoroughly is safely away. He will never hurt anyone else again, and that's the primary purpose. And there are 2 ways that he would never hurt anyone else again, and that would be capital punishment or consecutive sentence, or as we have had him sentenced in this regard.
So you're saying it's got to be one or the other?
One or the other. And don't take away capital punishment if you're not going to replace it with effective legislation. And it is very scary to me when I hear Alan Rock waffling around and tinkering with section or Bill C-41, not doing real changes.
Okay. Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you.
When we return...
California. 465 square miles of constantly interfacing humanity. Almost 4 million people work and play here, and like any other place,